Hello YouTube, Edmard here with another Forza 5 video, and today we're going to be doing another drift build, and it's going to be the Evo 8 by request. And again, I haven't looked up who asked for it. There was another person on the last video I did that asked for an Evo as well, so we're going to do the Evo 8 this time. People might know this car as a drift car from the D1 series, Naoto Swenaga, I think his name is. No. Yeah, it might be Naruto. I can't remember which Swenaga it is. There's two of them. But yeah, one of those guys drives the Team Orange, and he drove this car. Well, not this exact one. I don't think it was an MR, but he drove that in D1, and the lovely boys at Turn 10 have made it so that we can have a rear-wheel drive swap in this car. I want to see what engines we can have in it, because I was kind of hoping that there might be a better engine. Well, the torque is just terrible in that. Maybe this is why people have asked for it. I'm going to stick with the stock engine, because basically those torque curves are terrible. I'd rather have a nice big wing, but there isn't, so I'm just going to keep it stock. It looks fine. Maybe we'll make it a sleeper, I don't know. Oh, I'm not putting sport tyres on it. Not with that turbo lag that this car's going to have. I just know it's going to be terrible. I mean, the only experience I have with Evo engines is I made an Evo 10 on here, drifted it once, and then couldn't be bothered anymore. And the other experience I had with Evo engines was with Forza 4. It had the Mitsubishi Starion in that, and I tried that with an Evo 10 engine, I believe, and it was so bad. The engines, I don't know what it is with Mitsubishi engines. I think they're just built for rallying, basically. That's all they're good for. Ooh, put those on. Safe set of wheels. Always looks good. Make them 18-inch. Looks nice. I like the gold as well. This car is probably quite good in rear-wheel drive to racing, I imagine, because it's such a well done car for four-wheel drive anyway. And then usually when you make a four-wheel drive car rear-wheel drive on Forza games, they could get slightly tail happy, which I quite like in a race car. I think it makes it a bit more fun. But that's not what we're doing today. We're going to make a drift car today. Oh, I just skipped the platform and handling. Okay, some nice big brakes on it. Look how sick those look. I think they're carbon brakes as well. That's what Forza simulates. We're just going to go full upgrades here. I'm not going to bother with roll cage, just because it adds far too much weight, and it's not like the car's going to roll over, is it? And even if it does roll over, the damage isn't simulated on here, so psh, I don't care. Okay. I'm just going to keep an eye on the power. You can see from that graph, you'll see as I keep doing this, see that graph, you can see the blue band is the torque curve, and then the green one is the brake horsepower. And yeah, the reason why Evos aren't that good, usually, well, in my experience, the Evo engines aren't that good, is because of that weird band that's going on there. The torque is just far too high at the bottom of the revs there, and there's this huge turbo lag. That's that initially, I think it goes up to like nearly 4,000 revs before you actually get rid of the turbo lag, which is just ridiculous. So I won't be upgrading the turbo. Oh, do I want to do that? That's not that bad, you know. because of the craziness of this torque band, it doesn't add too much power as well. I'm going to go with that. Usually, well, you could see the difference that made to the torque band. You see how much lower the torque was. Right, you see how the torque peaks. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Usually when you put in cams into a drift car, it makes the top end like less torquey, basically. I don't know how to describe it. It just creates too much wheel spin, and the balance of torque versus brake horsepower is usually upset when you do that. It's just a weird thing that Forza does. It should make it all good, really. Alright, we're getting plenty of horsepower now. Should be alright. I'll run a lower pressure on the rears just to see how that works. Like I said last time, I like to get that middle line in line with the third gear. Then we bring everything closer. I might end up using second gear quite a lot, so I'm going to have that fairly close. And fourth as well, I'm going to have that fairly close. Alright. So next, camber. Same as usual. You'll notice that I do that on all of my cars. I find that it just works for me. And most of the time I don't need to do much else to it. I'm going to keep the springs fairly soft on this car, because I think it could work. I don't know. Just in my head, I think that could work. I mean, usually running, if you have a high difference between the front, I'm pointing at the screen. Why am I pointing at the screen? If the difference between the front stiffness and the rear stiffness is quite significant, so like I'm doing here, then that can really help you to get more angle. But what it does do is makes the car harder to, I don't know how to put it. It's like slightly more unstable because you've got these soft springs. The car wants to roll around more, and especially if you've got it on the rears, it just makes it all jelly-like almost, but not exactly like jelly, but you know, it just makes it harder to control normally. So let's go to a different track this time, shall we? Not Road America. It's kind of crap for drifting. There's not really much to choose from, is there? Let's go Silverstone. Silverstone National. But yeah, I like to have a soft rear suspension, and if you've got a high difference between them, obviously not too much because you overdo it, but it's kind of like what Phil Morrison does in his R32. I read an article in a magazine where he spoke about how he likes to have the rear end squatting down, a bit like a drag car does. Oh, you see that? Foot to the floor just then in second gear. See the turbo lag? Alright, we're rolling. 10 miles an hour. Floor it. Nothing. And then wheel spin just after 4,000 revs. That's why Evos are kind of terrible. Not that bad. Just got to keep it over 4,000 revs. That's not that bad, you know. I think I've got the right amount of horsepower. Oh, slightly off track there. Alright. Okay, so I've just done 2 runs. Initial impressions, turbo lag is just as bad as I expected. Don't know why Mitsubishis have such terrible turbo lag. Really is awful. But, yeah, it's okay. I think what I'd like to do, it just feels a bit bland. I don't know how to put it really. It's there, it's drifting, it's cool. I could do it just fine, but it just doesn't feel alive, and I want to try and fix that a bit. So I think I'm going to put slightly more speed in there. I don't know what's wrong with the graphs on this game. Look how far off that is from where I put it in the first tuning menu that I looked at it in. That is terrible. The third, I lined the third gear up with the middle. I don't understand how that's changed so much. Alright, I'll give it slightly less camber. Anti-roll bars, will make these a bit softer, so that through the transitions, if these are softer, then it's going to be a bit more edgy. They're already pretty damn soft, like 911 on the rear. That's crazy. Springs are soft enough, and we'll raise the front up to about 1 inch higher than the rear. So that if you raise the front up, then that helps the weight distribution go towards the rear. And if you do that, then it makes the front end more responsive and more twitchy, which I would quite like. And similarly, this should just slightly softer on the springs there should help that. And bring these down a bit so that the wheels, if you got 100% on the differential settings, that means the wheels spin at the same rate. But if you say on decel, if I put that down to 50%, then the wheels can turn at up to 50%. Blah, blah, blah. I can't speak. If they're at 50%, that means that one wheel can be going almost 50% slower than the other one. Doesn't usually work out that way because, you know, there's all these other factors, but in theory it would go up to that. So that means that with a bit of decel down to 73%, that means that go through the transitions, the inside wheel, as they transition, will go a little bit slower than the outside one and allow me to rotate the car a little bit quicker. And it's only a few miles an hour difference at this sort of setting, but you can feel it. If you look at that, I stalled it. You can feel it. It does make a slight difference. Yeah, man, it's not bad now. You see how much the rear end's moving around as I... See if I do this, look. See how the rear end's sitting down? That's what I really like in my drift cars. I think it gives you more rear end grip. It helps you get the power down. It makes the car slightly more unstable. But if you can deal with that, then you've got a faster car that's more energetic and loves to get thrown into the initiation. I mean, I remember back in Forza 4, there was one time I went into a public lobby and some guys thought that I had a four-wheel drive Supra, because when I was chucking it into the entry, I was doing stuff like this, and it just pulls back instantly because I've got this soft rear end that just allows me to just play with the car so much. But like I said, it makes the car less stable, and if you're kind of new to drifting, then it's going to make it really hard. I hate this turbo lag. If I could, I'd put like a RB26 in this car. I reckon it would be wicked with an RB26. Or a 2J. It'd be so good with a 2J. Right, I'm going to try a backwards entry. I had to really throw it around to try and get it to stop gripping up on that straight there. Oh, too early. Too early, way too early. Wait, let me try that again. Yeah! Get through the turbo lag. Wow, so much confidence in the front end of this car. You can really chuck it around. It doesn't complain. I'm so glad they gave us a rear wheel drive swap for this car. I'm just hoping that soon they'll give us like proper engine swaps, like in some of the other cars. Yeah. That was a bit tame. I'm a bit out of practice for those, to be honest. You can probably tell. It's basically just full throttle drifting. I love it. So good, this car. Alright. Well, I think that should be about it, really. Like I said before, feel free to completely steal this tune off of me. I can't do donuts. It's too much turbo lag. But yeah, feel free to steal the tune. I'll go through it just quickly now. Okay, so tyres 28-25.5. There's your gears. Yeah, you should pause the video, write it all down if you want, and then you'll be able to use it on your car. Maybe if you're slightly newer to drifting, I would put a little bit more horsepower in it and stiffen these spring settings here. Stiffen those up a little bit and stiffen the rear dampers a little bit. Leave the fronts, they'll be fine, but stiffen these to like here and here, and that will make the car behave a little bit better. And make sure you don't put these too hard. Make these like, oh, it's going to take forever. Make these like this, slightly closer to each other as well. If you have it like that with these settings, the car's going to behave itself a bit better. You're a lot more tame and a lot more easy to control, especially for controller drifters and newer drifters. But for me, I don't mind where it is. Braking. Braking's up to you, really. Remember that. I like to have it to the rear a little bit so I can slam on the brakes and it will give me... Oh, excuse me. If I've got it to the rear a little bit, it means when I lock up the brakes, the rears will lock up a bit first. And it's almost like a second handbrake, but a lot more controlled. And a lot more... Well, handbrake is very instant. and it just locks up the rear tyres and you can instantly spin, which is obviously what you want to do, and you want to catch that with the counter steer. But if you do this with the brakes, you can slam on it and you'll get this gradual sort of spin out. So that's why I do that. And differential, if you're newer to drifting, I'd recommend 100 for this setting. It just keeps it simple, keeps it easy, and keeps the wheel spin up. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That was the Evo 8, and it's an okay car. I think it would be really good if it had a proper engine swap, but can't complain too much. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Next up will be a Scion TC with its stock engine. It's a bit of a challenge set forward to me from another comment. I can't speak today. This whole freaking commentary, I've been messing up my words. Anyway, next one's a Scion TC with the stock engine, and this was the Evo 8 with the stock engine. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.